Yeah, this used to be one of the killing fields here in Slovenia and Eastern Europe. This used to be Yugoslavia. This is where the Serbs, Belarusians, and from the Soviet Union, they would be Illuminatis, Eastern European Illuminatis, beginning the second grade of my grammar school. Yeah, that was maybe 1979, something like this. 1978, 1979, with the police from Novo Mesa, they would have here a competition in killing of children. They would bring the children from other locations also, and it would be young Illuminatis like Putin that would have to prove themselves their ability to kill, brain kill, destroy, basically kill. This is what this was. Yeah, they were coming here and they were proving themselves their abilities to destroy children, to murder kids. That's what this was, this location. Yes, this location right here. This is what this was. This was this parcel that father purchased here to build a house. It literally became, they would eat, they would have a good food, they would prepare themselves roshtil stuff. The neighbors would bring the food and so on. This was a happy place for most of them, but very sad place for children. And I just happened so that even when that stuff went on, torture, I would not go down in front of them, no matter what they would do. And it presented to them the most severe challenge. I think that some of the kids they brought, they were not really even tortured. They faked being tortured. And they were doing this kind of stuff. If the Serbs brought their children with them, and Russians brought their children supposedly with them and so on, they were doing this kind of stuff to engage my parents, my relatives, everybody, the society in accepting it as a normal. You understand? The child might not even be tortured. He played being tortured and so on. But I know I was tortured. I know I was tortured. And they presented this like, they would change themselves. I would be tortured by one, and then another one would take over, and another one would take over, and another one would take over. And so you come in the morning at 7 o'clock, 6 o'clock maybe, and you start the party. And all the way to the night till it's night, 10 o'clock at night when everybody leaves. So what they do is all the friends, all the visitors and so on, everybody got a piece of it. You're gonna have him for 30 minutes, and another one is gonna take from there for 30 minutes, and another one comes and takes rounds, 30 minutes I, 30 minutes you, and so on and so forth. It was a fucking lunacy on open. This shit went on through almost entire grammar school, beginning the second grade of the grammar school all the way through grammar school and high school. It did not even stop in a high school, the third grade and so on, till I became physically so strong they couldn't take chance anymore. Because what was yesterday uncles that look so big, they no longer could afford that stuff, like I explained. With me, you never knew what's going to happen from one point and another. You could torture me, and if I had enough of it, I could just go and just slam you, basically. For that matter, always the police was present, then the police officers would throw themselves on me and that kind of stuff. We're always using the investigators that are employed by Novo Mesto police, but no investigators back then yet. They were kids inside of the college and grammar school and so on. This garbage grew up with me to become a police officers. Eventually, some of these garbagers that will be coming to this parcel since my childhood requested to become a police officers. But we're talking about the nurse Yanko, and we're talking about a bunch of other kids that were coming here. More closely, I remained acknowledged with the people who went to the police first, for obvious reasons, because they continue to deal with me throughout my life. But this is what this is. It was a competition. It was really, really a competition. It was a challenge. They natolcevati in Slovenian language is to agitate my parents and others on how I was capable, he was not capable, or even we were not capable. And, you know, Putin wanted to prove himself with Medvedev, with Lavrov, with Gorbachev, with all these politicians that you see, Yeltsin and so on, they were coming here, with all these people that you see on a TV as a presidents, prime ministers from Soviet Union, from Russia. They were coming here. Well, from Russia, there was no Russia. Russia was only Putin and Yeltsin. After Gorbachev, that's all there is to it. But all the Soviets, all the Soviet presidents, politicians, they were coming here. And Putin was really vicious. He was sure that there was no such a thing that Putin could not do. Well, this is what got Putin off. This is where Putin just completely lost it, because he couldn't get what Putin wanted to get. And in return, even got humiliated. You would not want to cross me when I told you that. When I told you to fuck off, you better fuck off, because if you didn't fuck off, I met you with the physical force. It's simple as this. They reacted this in a different ways, with a physical aggression on me, or let me another 2, 3, 4 hours outside, death threatening, abusing, and so on, or whatever the case might have been. But the control over my brain, over my mind, they never had to the degree that they would shut me off. You receive 1 million death threats and you continue to go like myself, then you can say that you are still a human being, that you still exist. That's all. This is, they conditioned me from the psychiatric hospital Ljubljana Polje that were coming here, these animals that were coming here. They insisted and insisted and insisted. You must identify people. You must identify this. You must identify. It's important for you to identify. You know, identify. Identify this, identify. You must identify. You must identify this. You must identify. You must identify, identify, identify. They wanted me to post the video on the internet about how I met people, you know? Oh, you know, you have a daughter, you have a house, you have whatever the fuck you have. And you have a dog that barks, whatever you have, and cars on the wheels. They didn't want me to talk about the political stuff. The British royals did not want me to talk about any political stuff. They especially did not want me to talk about violence, crime, and their share in crime. The Epstein case existed already, sometimes discussing how they're going to resolve the Epstein case. Sometimes in 2008, they started to contemplate on an Epstein case. So if the Epstein case existed in 2008, talking about MK Ultra, how the Illuminatis discuss about that stuff, then the Epstein case did not exist and doesn't exist to, you know, for the sake of some kind of revelation, for the sake of some kind of truth, you know, for the sake of, you know, pedophilia almighty and abuse and this and that. It existed and exists for totally other purposes. You have to understand that the crime is rated always based on degree, severity, amount of crime, right? So if you go out there, and I'm not saying that Epstein is not guilty, quite contrary, I say, and abuse women and even children and whatever the fuck you do, and the time lapses by, they did not present, this is why it's shit is shit. They did not present anything than one girl, and that supposedly was involved hundreds, if not hundreds, of girls and children in this case of Epstein. Then you know it's fake. You know what I mean? If you have hundreds of them, And all you get from her basically is nothing when compared to this case that lasts for 54 years. Then you know that the lighter, they always take whatever is controllable. The lighter case they take to shadow the heavy case, the real case, which is known as the truth. Yeah, what I explained to you in my blog is the truth about the Western world. It's the truth about democracies. This is a very, very, very heavy, very, 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 very heavy casket that you have to break out. This one sink very, very deeply for you to surface up to be seen, because of degree, because of the type of people involved in it, because of amount of crime. These people around me all felt like criminals. They all felt they're going to spend 10 lifetimes inside of a prison. It was not in their interest for this shit to come out. You can bet on it. And the story from the postal office about the stuff that goes on, and the story about these attacks and so on that goes on. This is any form of assistance, as the police claimed. It's going to be that the people are going to see that something is happening and so on. No. This is just assistance to the British Royals. This is just assistance to Americans, to all others who went on to compromise with the Slovenian police, that if somehow, some way, you will be capable to deliver the truth about what went on, you're not going to be seen as insane or basically murdered through the psychiatric system, which they commenced in 2012, basically portraying you as insane through all these postal deliveries, basically driving you completely amok, you know, nuts, totally. All these sirens, all this shit, all this stuff that goes on, there ain't no fucking form of assistance. It's about completely other issues that have nothing to do with blah, blah. They video recorded themselves next to me. The attitude was such that I was only pursued and demanded from me to see myself as mentally retarded. But the attitude was such that, you know, by these animals from so-called Novo Mesto police station. I hate to even use the word animals because these people are worse than animals. That they demanded from me to view not only myself as mentally retarded, but the way they saw this stuff was like, will you be even capable to do that? Will you be even capable to visit the father? And I was like, what do you mean by that if I'm going to be able to visit the father? That's a logical question. What the fuck? That's a father, and you ask me if I'm going to be capable, if I'm going to go to visit father and stuff like this. Obviously, asking this kind of question alone, it's a trouble, because you communicate with the people that this kind of issue should never be communicated with. For that kind of stuff, police exists. But what do you do when police is enforcing this kind of stuff? And you are talking stuff that you're not supposed to talk with people who are supposed to enforce the law. You understand my point? It's like they treated me like a dirt, like a shit. Food, you get food for nothing, that mother also repeats all the time. You get your bills paid, you this, you don't work, you don't deserve this, you don't this, you don't, can you at least do, can you at least go to father? This is what they were preparing to screw me up big time with the police. All kinds of incidents, millions of incidents when visiting father, which most I did not even post on the internet because that shit, if I would go based on the brainwash, the way they brainwashed, it would be end for me. It would end too quickly. I would not even go visit father already. For 2 years, I wouldn't even go to visit father. They were sure I'm not going to be even visiting father. And so, fucking practically break your spine and take from you every transport car, everything away, and use father as a tool to destroy you. You know, and it's sadistic. You don't do nothing. You don't do nothing. Breaking spine, play with the cancer, all those issues were considered as for you to have at least something to do because you don't do nothing. This is animals from Novo Mesto police station. This is what psychiatrists, cops groomed all along. This is what they were doing for him. Just a little stuff they were doing for him, just a little favor they were doing to him. That's exactly what they were doing. And when I add the numbers together, all this stuff, yes, that the Americans witness all this stuff. Yes, and they also recorded most of this stuff. They have recordings, they witness with the British, with Germans, with everybody. But they didn't witness, they did not to help me out. No. We will confirm if you will properly tell everything. Really? Because the audio recorder no longer works. There is a lack of batteries and all that stuff, right? From what I understand, Americans, when they were visiting the house, they were literally connected to the Starlink. They were literally, as they were interacting with the police here, they were literally uploading the shit up to through the satellites. Stuff like this, from what I recall. And so if you cannot kill me, if you cannot get me killed, then at the end, you, West, NATO, you will go and you will recognize and you will tell, you're going to position yourself in the role of the judge and you will say, that's true, that's not true. Yes, that's the way it was, that's the way it was not, right? And I am doing this, of course, because you motherfuckers claimed that I was not present mentally. Yeah, you took from where Milosevic, Slobodan Milosevic, Slobodanko, where Slobodan Milosevic stopped. That's where you took from. That's what he claimed. That's what Milosevic claimed, that anything that is done to me, that's actually, they don't have to worry about because I'm not even there mentally present. That's what the Serbs, Milan Kočan, Borut Pahor, Slovenian Borut Pahor, yeah, Robert Golob, they claimed that he's not mentally, he's not even there. Don't worry, just fucking do it, because mentally he's not there. And if he doesn't get sleep 1 week, and he's walking around, beaten up, tortured, traumatized, that's very healthy for you. He doesn't even, because he doesn't even know, right? A game they play till you actually drop dead. Through the licensed psychiatrists, so the people, state-employed psychiatrists and police that enforce and can be handy through the lawyers, through the justices, court justices, it's just about disposable, just about any fucking time you need, like this. So this is not a very easy case. For me, this was definitely not a very easy case. Yeah, I was going to close this with a very, very, very good stuff also that pertain to MK Ultra. It just doesn't come to me, unfortunately, right now, so it's going to be for the next video. But there is just something that escaped. You know, if we don't kill you, then we will confirm the stuff. And I don't know what exactly I was gonna compare that issue to, but it's a perfect comparison. I am actually talking about this stuff is very difficult stuff to do. It's not a good stuff. It takes energy. You have to collect yourself energy-wise, mentally-wise, and continue to go about this stuff. Revive this shit. When your throne, when your presidency, and I don't understand the journalists when it comes to all this stuff, this is like going parallel to all this stuff. I mean, this is very, very, I'm sure that you notice it, very, very beneficial for the Putin, very beneficial for the Russia, because it portrays NATO, European Union, royals in extremely, extremely negative light, right? You need to ask them about it. you need to talk about them. You need to talk to them about this stuff. Why was it so good for them? This kind of stuff, so they can explain to you the meaning of democracy. The next time, if you ever find yourself in a situation I have, and they tell you, we absolutely need you, we 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 depend on you, please make sure you take a cameraman with you. Even better, I don't know how that would be possible, but mount yourself a satellite antenna on your forehead, on your head, and get somebody to video record you, or put the camera somehow on a stand, on a pod that can see the shit they do to you. Because when it comes to Central Intelligence Agency and when it comes to Federal Bureau investigation, and I didn't mention to you how they were coming here, a little bit connected to the Starlink and stuff like this, uploading it to the satellites through the satellite system. I don't know how they did this stuff. And recorders recording and bragging to me. The problem in my case was not a lack of evidence. The problem in my case, the bigger problem, the lack of my case, was too much of the evidence. These people did not know what the fuck to do with so much evidence. That's the problem of this case. So if ever you find yourself in a situation I did, working for the US government, working for the British government, working for the German and French and Canadian and all those governments out there, Western governments that are out there, just make sure that, I don't know, bring yourself a cameraman so that you're gonna have a proofs. Because yeah, obviously that you are judged upon whatever you remember. That's basically if you somehow manage to survive. Not only poisoning, but if they somehow don't get you killed, some way, somehow. Maybe. And that is still yet to be determined by the US Congress and the White House, the so-called White House. American citizenship also that I acquired also doesn't help here. Trump had a serious thought about suspending my American citizenship also with others. They did not know where to start, how to go about. What do you think about this? Yeah, I did not complete the job properly. To finish this, I am just going to give you a title so that you can read. And I am going to go scroll myself like this. And if you want to pause the button, you can do so now. Before I basically explain you everything in my own words. It's a really easy thing to explain to you about this stuff. Slobodan Milošević, number one, Slobodan Milošević, this guy here. We'll get to that too. Slobodan Milošević. Something similar that I have already described under the how it was a saltwater poisoning, seawater poisoning. I took time to give you a beautiful, beautiful video on seawater poisoning, Adriatic Sea water poisoning in Montenegro, where I pointed you out how Milošević would come to even pick me up here to Slovenia before he would have to vacation to his beloved Montenegro. This is where he, along the Adriatic coast, he was vacationing. And I titled this a Serbian. Did I title this as a Serbian eating fish bones? And how? No, that's another one. Also Milošević involved in it. And then we have another one here, and this is the one. Here, this one. This is a beautiful, beautiful video about the Montenegro, how it was in Yugoslavia with the Slobodan Milosevic. Okay, so it was like this. I will explain to you the final part of the what I indicated here. It's going to be titled as How Putin Tortured in Slovenia and What Got Him Off the Most. I really wanted to specialize myself in this. Our parcel here, our home parcel. It is very, very important video for me, this stuff. Very, very important video. It's like for the Adriatic coast, I'm going to give Montenegrins a warning right now. And this is a most serious warning because I'm going to take legal action against the Montenegro government. It's like this. Montenegrins did not only collaborated and cooperated in drowning me in Adriatic Sea along the Montenegro coastline. Milosevic, who was using a Serbian kids, was also using a Montenegrin kids. And Milosevic was using a Montenegrin kids because he wanted to convince, after I accused, cursed out Serbian kids as a Serbian kids doing this stuff to me in Montenegro, Milosevic came up with the idea, something extremely, extremely important to him, would be to implicate as many as possible Montenegrin kids and have me curse Montenegrin kids in Montenegro during torture inside of the Adriatic Sea coastline on the beach. You know, we're in a water like this, and all of a sudden, jerked up, you would have a child jumping from, not child, but already adults, from whatever direction and pull you under the water. Semi-adults, so that you would get as much as salt water as possible. And they would not allow you to come out of the water either for hours. This was the schizophrenia that Slobodan Milosevic believed is going to gain him a support from Montenegrins, from the Montenegro people for the greater Serbian Chetnik state, Yugoslavia in Montenegro. Everybody kicked Serbia out, the so-called Yugoslavia. Montenegrins did not. That's why Milosevic was doing this kind of stuff. He had 50% of the Serbian kids, 50% of the Montenegro kids, and I'm issuing warning to the Montenegro government. You're going to have to clear up. You're going to have to come to me and be you're accountable for that stuff. It's not about the Serbia only. It's also about you. You're going to have to explain all about that stuff, about what went on in Montenegro since my early childhood, where I was delivered for drowning. The same shit that Milosevic employed at this parcel here, for which I told you this was a killing field. Totally, totally identical stuff. Milosevic, before he would even load me in the car in Serbia and deliver me back to Slovenia, where they would have the party here, he would have his Serbs gather selected Serbian kids, and he had his Serbs find Montenegrin kids, and he had his Serbs find Bosnian kids, basically the kids that were eager and willing to murder, lie, and kill and steal practically, right here on this parcel, on my home. And with this crew, whom he instructed before we even arrived here, you're talking about the children, rotten like hell children. Before we would even arrive here, they would give them instructions on how to behave, how to literally convince my parents on what is normal and what is not normal, how to convince parents on what child is normal and what child is not normal. By literally by instructing the kids to play stupid, to pretend stupid, till they would get the signal to pretend normal. What Milosevic was doing, he portrayed the whole thing with the Russians like a torture, have kids behave, act in a certain pattern, in a certain way, just the way they were instructed. Once the torture was over, what he would do, and that's what he explained me when we came, he explained this to my parents, to relatives, everybody that was here, neighbors, that once the child is going to prove it's normal, it's not going to make any point anymore in torturing child, is going to call him up, the child is going to come to him and is going to make him normal. It appears to me that something was done intraveno with this stuff. Talking about the drugs. Obviously, they had something that they suggested can be used to manipulate state of mind. That's basically drugs. The influx of drugs, intraveno, whatever drugs was it intraveno? I do not know. But what exactly gives you the capacity to decide, once you decide practically that the child is normal, in a parenthesis, what gives you the capacity to return one into the normal state of mind immediately? That's my question. If it was not intraveno, what exactly is it? Because if you had drugs, it takes time for you to clean your body so that you can get normal, person can get normal. And because I was even abducted from the bed during work and returned into bed, not during work, but during after hours, I returned from work and delivered back to work. And before the shift came, I was again ready to go to report myself for work. Just they would return me back in the bed and I would return back to work. Return me back in the bed maybe 2 hours before the work would start. So if you don't have this intraveno, what exactly is it that grants you the capacity for you to take person out of the bed and then return one in the bed and the person will have a capacity to report himself to work? That's exactly what it is. It must be this. And did so. Flashed in front of me how he decided that this kid's normal, like some kind of priest, craziness, like the stuff that you see on a TV, like, you know, the guy that can cure you from blindness and shit like this. Flash this in front of my parents and neighbors and people that will be here. Decide about who is normal and who is not normal. This is the way this stuff was. So Montenegrin government owes a lot of explanation, not only about the Adriatic Sea, but also about the kids they sent here to Slovenia to do the stuff like this. Second thing, when it comes to Vladimir Putin, who tortured with Medvedev, with Lavrov and so on, claimed that he already had proven his capacity, torture capacity, and was selected by Gorbachev, by Yeltsin, as suitable candidate based on one, that this was like a certain examination. Putin supposedly had those credentials. He delivered here Medvedev, who had to do his practical exam in my 7th grade of the grammar school in 1985. Demanded from me to see his ability to torture as some sort of exam that he passed, based on which I should no longer give him any kind of resistance during torture. This is the lunacy we're talking about. So he demanded from me to, based on the torture he committed, he demanded from me to basically give him a credit for the torture, to put it plain and simple, okay? Because you are successful for the torture, okay, I'm just going to do whatever the fuck you say. In that sense, is what I felt he was trying to convince me that this is the way it's supposed to be. He wanted me to take basically his ability to torture for granted and grant him special privileges, like without even challenging him in respect to stuff that he was doing with me. This is what went on here. So I better explain this in person, the way this stuff was. And a Montenegrin government government official have a lot of stuff to explain. Some of these people, kids who were here, even ended inside of the government. Some in Montenegrin government, and some in the Serbian government. And some others did some other stuff. This is what Milosevic brought here with him. The Bosnians got They got a reality check, a hardcore reality check with a war, with the ethnic cleansing that exploded in the Balkans. They got a good medication. They got a good sense of reality. They wake up. They woke up to reality, basically. I ain't got nothing to say about that. Yeah, I mean, if you have information, if you have something for me that you think might actually have an impact on your part of the world, and you want to be of use to humanity, because this is about me and it's more than about me, yeah, maybe you want to stress these issues out. Maybe you want to reveal these issues so that such a mistake like Yugoslavia would not repeat again, of course, too. They called it a party. They called it a party, a happy return party. Prepare the party for Bostian. Bostian is coming home. Prepare the party. And my parents prepared the party. The rostil, fish, cevapcici, you fucking name it, Serbian food, any kind of food you want for the Slobodan. So, you know, the Slobodan would get a good, proper respect, nice welcome here from well-deserved vacation, obviously, that my parents got from me. Is disgusting as anything anyone possibly could imagine can be disgusting. This is exactly the description. This shit started in my second grade of the grammar school, sometimes in 1978, 1979, and accompanied me all the way till I came strong enough to that I could hurt you badly if I deemed so that it was necessary. Super disgusting with grown-up animals, police officers, swines in blue uniforms, just waiting for the opportunity to throw themselves on me, on top of me. No, they did not have no uniforms. They were without the uniforms for any kind of resistance. I mean, you don't treat, you know, the stuff that you see about the horror movies and shit like this. This goes way beyond.